What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be talking about a VR title. This is something I played recently, the PlayStation VR 2 version of The Tale of Onogoro. This was created by Amata KK, the same people who brought us The Last Labyrinth, and I believe they were somehow involved with the Organ Quarter as well. Both of those were games I really enjoyed, and this one seems to have kind of built on those as a gameplay stance and really improved on it. I think this is one of the best overall games that they've made so far. So this game was released on multiple platforms back originally in 2022, and now you can find it on multiple VR platforms, and I think you can play it flat as well on the PlayStation and a few other platforms. So the idea behind The Tale of Onogoro is it is a mixture of sort of traditional Japanese culture mixed with a weird steampunk world, and you as the player are someone who is brought into the world of Haru, a shrine maiden priestess, and she's been captured and imprisoned in this tower where she's basically chained to this rock and she can't escape. Her limbs have been taken and removed with steampunk limbs, and these creatures known as the kami have taken her limbs, and it's up to you to try and solve puzzles and get through this entire island of Onogoro to take down the kami, reclaim your limbs, and then take down the man who kidnapped you, who is Masatake, who was a childhood friend of Haru. But hopefully I got that all in one take. The art style of this one is what really stands out. It has like a cel shaded anime style, and it really reminds me of something like Genshin Impact or the Tales of Arise new art style, and it looks really stunning, especially on the PlayStation VR 2 with the HDR and the OLED. It really stands out, especially when you're close up to the character of Haru. You just see all the colour and just the beautiful art style really shines. I did play a little bit of the PC version as well, which it looked really clean on there, but it just didn't have the vibrancy that the PSVR 2 version did have. But if you only have PC or Quest, it's still a great game to pick up on any platform because it's all about the gameplay really, and the story and the style of it. The game is broken up into multiple chapters in different parts of the island where you have to sort of bring Haru around with you. You have these two guns, celestial weapons, where you can essentially solve puzzles, but also you can pick up the rock that is chained to Haru and drag her around with you. So whereas with The Last Labyrinth you are kind of chained to a wheelchair and you can only use your head to nod and look around to find out how to get this little girl to help you through the puzzles, in this one you can actually move her around and move freely around these maps. So it definitely improved on it on that aspect because you get to do a bit of free roam and you get to solve the puzzle at your own sort of timing, because you're not just stuck in one position. You get to look around the map and find out what you need to do. A lot of the puzzles are elemental based, so with your celestial weapons you can absorb the elements to solve these little quests. So you have fire, wind and electricity, I think, and you can use them in different ways. So essentially you have enemies that will attack you. There's not that much combat, but when there is combat it's very simple. What you use the weapons to take down the enemies, which will then transform into sort of an orb of element which you can then use to solve a puzzle, such as burning a giant paper ball that is blocking your way with a fire element, or you can actually use the wind to blow the balls out of the way or fly them in the air just to get them into certain places. So there's a lot of thought gone into the puzzles, and they can be quite tricky, especially as you get in towards the end of the game. I haven't completed the game fully. I'm pretty much, I'd say, over the 3/4 mark, so I feel like I've had enough gameplay to sort of give you a gist of how much I've enjoyed it. So to regain your limbs you have to go through each of these different segments, which usually have about 5 different maps in each level, each then ending with a boss fight. And the boss fights are really impressive in this. All of them have a different style. One of them could be like a flying beast or a giant robot that throws things at you, and they just have a different vibe each time, and it really keeps the game fresh as you go through it. And you really have to work out the mechanics of the boss battles as well, because it's not just a free-for-all firing ammo and elements at these creatures. You really have to figure out through the environment ways to kill them and then put them to use by taking the beast down. And each time you take down a beast you regain a limb, so there's always this progression of the story where you feel like you're getting closer and closer to finishing your task. And yeah, I was really enjoying it. The music in this one is great as well. It gave me vibes of like early Zelda games or something like Okami. It just had this really nice traditional Japanese vibe with the music as well, mixed with the fantasy style of Zelda. The puzzles do get progressively more and more complex as you get more knowledge of the element, and from doing the earlier puzzles they just start to amp them up until you get to a point where you have to use multiple hands at once, like shooting one target over in one room while absorbing an element and then shooting something else. There's a lot of trickiness to it. You have to do a lot with timing, so you have to maybe lift a platform. You can use Haru to then push buttons to, let's say, make a platform rise from the floor, and then at the same time you have to shoot a a door which opens up a ball which then flies over the platform that you've just created. So there's a lot of timing based stuff in it, which can be quite annoying, but also it's very satisfying when you finally do complete the puzzle. The story is great. I did actually play it in Japanese, so it was all sort of subtitles and the Japanese original language for me, which in my own sort of problem here is that when there was a lot of lore and story being given to me with the Japanese language, I was in the heat of battle, so I couldn't quite take in a lot of the subtitles because I was trying not to die, which is only a problem if you're playing the game in a non-native language. If you're playing it in English and fighting, you can still hear it. So this is more of a problem to do with my playthrough, but yeah, there's a lot going on with the story which is told as you are going through the level, so it's a lot of environmental storytelling while you're trying to solve the puzzles. Another of the mechanics which I thought was really cool is the way that you do bond with the character Haru as well. A lot of it is sort of touch based. You tend to have to heal Haru when she's taking damage by holding out your hand, and she will hold out both her hands, and then you grab them and you can just feel the pulse of health going back into her as there's like the screen's glowing. It's got a really nice glow when you start to feel your health pulse into both of you. You have the haptics going as well. The haptics are really nice here as well when you're shooting off the celestial weapons. At the end of each level as well, you kind of have to have a little talk with Haru about progressing the story, and at the end of each one to go into the next level you have to kind of hold her hand, so you have to sort of bond with her and then be ready to move on to the next challenge. And it really does sort of help the story, as you are strangers at the beginning, and with the end of each section you're kind of getting to know each other, and then you're taking down the beast. So there's always a story that's progressing. Like I said, I've not finished it, so I don't know how it all ends up, but having a really good time playing it. Would definitely recommend the PlayStation VR 2 version, and yeah, having a blast with it. Can't wait to finish it and go back to finish Last Labyrinth, because I'm still stuck on some of the puzzles in that one. Can't wait to see what the Amata Games and Hiromichi Takamasha, if I'm pronouncing that right, do next, because they've always been excelling in these VR titles, and I look forward to seeing how they excel on the formula in their next game. So thank you so much for watching, guys. If this is your first time checking out the channel, do hit the subscribe button, check out the rest of my VR related videos. I have plenty of reviews and gameplays on the channel, so yeah, check them out, and I will see you in the next one.